Thank you so much for joining me, Ted. Australians want low emissions energy, but they can't do without reliable, dispatchable supply. How realistic a solution is nuclear energy for this problem?
Well, I think the answer to that, Amanda, is partly coming from overseas, where not only do you have 33 economies right now enjoying zero emissions nuclear energy, but you have another 50 countries, another 50, that's 50, currently exploring the possibility of introducing nuclear for the very first time. And they're doing that for a range of reasons. They, like Australia, are looking to decarbonise their economies. And so zero emissions nuclear makes sense. They also know that more renewables are coming in the grid, and they need a technology that can ramp up and ramp down to work together with renewables. Next generation nuclear energy does that too. What we've also seen overseas, especially those who understand how nuclear works in the grid, is it actually reduces the cost to consumers. And that is critically important. And the last thing I'd say, Amanda, and you covered this off so well just before, if you do not have energy security, you do not have national security. And amidst a period of increased volatility, countries need to ensure that they have national security, and energy has to be secure.
I'm so glad you're on this job, Ted. How can Australia go about acquiring the expertise needed for a nuclear energy industry to develop here in Australia?
Well, thankfully, Amanda, we're coming off a very solid platform, because what a lot of people don't know, what Labor denies, is Australia already is a nuclear nation. You know, it was only about 2 weeks ago that ANSTO, our nuclear industry, celebrated 70 years. So for 7 decades, Australians have been at the forefront of nuclear technology, especially when it comes to medicines. With the AUKUS deal, we are going to have our own fleet of nuclear-propelled submarines. We've got the biggest resources in the world in terms of the reserves of uranium. So we export uranium, powering nuclear energy plants across the world, but none of our own. So where do we start? We start by acknowledging that platform. And as we then develop the expertise for AUKUS, we also need to be developing the same sort of expertise for a civil industry. And the good thing is they're actually very similar in terms of the background, the training. Amanda, I was only in the States, the US, a few months ago, and the amount of people I met in the nuclear civil industry, so nuclear energy plants, vendors, people who had a previous career as nuclear submariners. In countries like the United States that have nuclear-propelled submarines, they can't get the workforce unless they have a very well-functioning nuclear energy industry. Those two work hand in hand elsewhere. I think it's high time we explore the possibility of nuclear energy in Australia.
And of course, Australia has a nice stable geology and a facility that can house nuclear waste safely, and that itself is something to be prized. Now, we have heard Chris Bowen in recent times sledging nuclear energy as unaffordable. You've touched on it a little, but tell us, why does that claim fail to stack up?
Well, for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, our closest allies who have hands-on real-world experience with nuclear energy say that's not the case. So let's take Japan. Japan's own industry, their own department, their government department, I was able to see their figures, which basically say that nuclear energy is one of the cheapest forms of energy for Japan. It brings down the overall cost of the whole system. The same in the United States. The US is it's a federation. Different states are now for the first time opening up to nuclear energy because the business case stacks up. They look at the entire whole of system costs. Same in Canada. I was in Canada, and the minister there in Ontario showed me their data based on actual data showing how nuclear energy brings down the cost. You see, Amanda, for you and me at home, if we get a power bill like everyone else in Australia, that power bill, talks to the entire cost of the system. Now, these other countries that
right.
understand nuclear understand that it brings down the entire system costs, and that, in effect, brings down the costs in your home or in your business.